hella expensive. I got myself some water. Okay, we have to move on to Charlie or Pneumatic. Pneumatic. I don't know. We're about to find out. Let's start. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well myself. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Hey, what should I be calling you today? Because on Metafy it's at Charlie. On Discord it's Pneumatic. Which do you prefer?
I'm fine with either, honestly. Whichever one's easier for you.
Okay, I'll go with Charlie because a P and an N after each other. That's a little bit too
Oh,
hard
trust
for
me,
me.
I've heard it mispronounced so many times.
I believe you. I believe you. So, Charlie, what are we going to be talking about today? Because you wrote down a few topics. You said decision making, counter picking ability, preparation. I assume since booking the session, there's been some extra, some other things that that have come up that you want to talk about today.
Yeah, so mostly I wanted to do like a VOD analysis.
Okay.
Here I'll post the YouTube link, Discord. And so this was from like 2 weeks ago, I think. It was me versus Darkshad. It went game 5, last hit, and
Oh dang.
I wanted to kind of learn from this because it was so close, and I want to be more prepared next time.
Wait, you played game 5 against Shulk? What? All right.
Yeah, he 3-0'd me before, but then in grand finals I took him to game 5.
Okay, okay. So anything that you want me to focus on in the review?
Well, I guess I would like to learn some Shulk specific stuff, but also just improving my neutral, because this matchup is so neutral heavy, so I think it's a good way to look at the neutral, kind of.
Okay. Okay, that's clear. So what I like to do for a review is I like to just watch the first stocks in its entirety, so like until you've both lost your first stocks. We review what we saw afterwards, and then we'll watch the rest of the set, okay?
Okay.
Alright, awesome. Let's get to it. I'm gonna turn up the commentators a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Gets the trip, but that's not going to lead into anything.
Pro Shops Dark Shad.
There it is!
Okay.
Yeehaw! Bass Pro Shops Dark Shad! He finally got his first sponsorship. This free agent, sponsored by
Savvy
Bass
pressure.
Pro Shops.
Conversion.
Then we got a Bass Pro Shops in the mall, actually. Biggest
Okay, they're talking about Bass Pro Shops a little bit too loudly for my for my taste. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, the commentary is pretty loud on this.
Okay.
statue of a deer.
Mm-hmm.
They're closed right now, Lars.
Okay. Wow. Did he just grab your retreating there?
They're closed
That's
right
crazy.
now, Lars.
Okay.
I'll tell you to go check 'em out.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Oh no. Yeah, you're gonna die. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that was kind of unfortunate.
That was
I just tried
definitely
to jump to
unfortunate.
catch his drift and caught, but still accidentally.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, back air walls. Go over. Mm-hmm. Okay, fair. How are you gonna close this out? Okay. It's kinda, yeah. Okay, ooh, okay.
Very slow matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because you cannot really get in, but I think you're getting in the right ways. So let me ask you a question, Charlie. Like, tell me a little bit about your plan going into this matchup.
So I just knew it to like avoid smash art and play pretty grounded. I was basically just trying to fish for parries. You can see me on the ground just shielding a lot, releasing shield. That's like the only way I was just gonna try and punish him, even though on parry I wasn't able to punish sometimes still.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I didn't have much Shulk experience, so I didn't know that much what to do.
So tell me about like your outside of the Shulk matchup. Like, what is your general approach to playing jigs?
I'm very much part of the don't get hit mentality. I just kind of let the opportunities to hit them fall upon me while I just focus on not getting hit myself.
Right. So that's actually interesting because that's something I wanted to touch upon myself. As in, like, if you look at the way you play the neutral, especially like after you take an early fall, a lot of the hits you get in your neutral are actually just like a lot of it is him messing up. So
The misspacing.
yeah, exactly. Like you dash up shield and then he just like back airs into you. You get tagged by back air twice here. It doesn't really matter. But like even in here, you're just like, you know, you go for a full hop double jump with Jigglypuff and he just like whiffs an entire bear, and he would have been safe if he didn't try to up tilt here as well. So like you can kind of see like a lot of your approaches are mostly, yeah, him misspacing, him overextending a little bit. And what I'm really kind of missing in your play is the aspect of like, okay, so how do you force your opponent to make a mistake? And I think that is really, from what I can gather in this first talk so far, the biggest point of improvement is instead of waiting for your opponent to kind of like mess up and trying to not get hit, how do you make them mess up? Because if you don't control their mess ups, then whether you hit them or not is basically luck. You don't have control over it, right? As in, like, you can pick the right option, but if they space well, you're not going to get the hit. And I think in a lot of these situations, like, you're doing well in terms of, like, you know, like, dashing up shield, like, taking away stage control. But then, like, he just straight up whiffs a grab in your face. Like, come on, man. And what I want to say in all this is, like, you're doing well in controlling what you can control, right? So in the sense, like, the way you're playing is basically saying, hey, I'm going to focus on... like not getting hit, and if they give me an opportunity, I'm gonna make the most out of that. But what I basically want to suggest is like using like basically the main neutral improvement is like using Jig's airspeed to force reactions. So if you think about like I'll give you a very clear example, right? So I think it's the one where you punish him for trying to up tilt you. So like right here, no, it's a little bit earlier. Where he like attacks you with back air, and then you just go over and you just like down air him, right? So if you think about this situation, what actually like happened here is he whiffs a back air, like a full hop back air here. You go over him, he whiffs another back air, and now he's in a situation where you're landing on him, right? So if he was smart here, he would have obviously shielded, blah, blah, blah. But what he's doing is he's throwing up tilt. So what I would suggest in situations like this, instead of trying to like commit to pressure, because right here, if you commit to pressure, he's going to have a good time by just shielding or rolling away and basically ignoring all of your pressure if he chooses to do so. Like right here, he whiffs. What's he going to do? He's going to do anything like immediately. So in this situation especially, you basically just want to like hang back and see what he does. And then once you have an idea of how he reacts to these pressure situations, that's when you can try to like do exactly what you did and just like pressure him for hitting that. But what I'm kind of missing here is kind of like that option or that information gathering, right? So like Jig's airspeed. This is my take, right? And you can always tell me if you feel like I'm wrong. So Jig's airspeed allows her to...
Well, yeah, I did get some information from the first set, definitely.
Right. That makes sense. But it allows her to be very non-committal in her approaches, which basically lets you feel out your opponent. Overall, though, like, honestly, I feel like you're playing the neutral about as well as Jigglypuff can against Shulk, because, like, you know, good luck getting in on Shulk with Jigglypuff. But one thing that does like stand out to me is like I said, kind of like forcing mistakes. But also when I look at the way he's giving you space, like he's very much like cornering himself, and then he like fights out of the corner, right? So like this situation is very clear. Like he corners himself, and then he like jumps to the center, goes to speed, and he fights out of the corner, right? So like this would have been a very a very predictable parry, for example. And if you look at the next situation here as well, like again, he kind of pushes himself into the corner, fakes some aggression, pushes himself further into the corner, and then he jumps to center stage and he attacks you. You punish him here, so that's good. But generally, like even afterwards, right? You put him in the corner, jump, brute force center stage. So I think like generally, like with Jigglypuff, since your neutral isn't amazing, like if they're cornered, try to play around the reversal more.
Like one thing that I noticed was I tried like catch his jumps with back airs. Yeah, I tried to catch his jumps with back airs, but like I wasn't hitting those. So, like, yeah, I think you're right. I should just have focused more on catching his landings instead of just catching the jump.
Yeah, and like he's just landing with Nair every single time too, right? Like this is a Nair landing. Just a second ago he went for a Nair landing as well. So a lot of it is kind of like the same, and like Nair, it's a good hitbox. Don't get me wrong, but if you know it's coming, it's also very easy to beat. But yeah, that's just the big thing. Is like, you know, if you lose to walling, they usually have to retreat to wall, which means you have to win through corner pressure. Generally, like, one thing to kind of like think about on more of a like conceptual level is like what options positively reinforce each other in this dynamic. So you can think about, like, you know, like, I have to keep him in the corner, right? But more accurately, like, which options make you scary in the corner, and how can I use them to complement each other?
Okay.
Right, so like back air is good, but like if you only back air when you're in the corner, you're never gonna hit the back air. So what do they do about back air, and how do you beat their options, right? So we basically have to like create some sort of like layers. In terms of like, we have our strongest option, that's kind of like our base layer, right, back air, and then they have an answer to that, and then we go to like the second layer of options, etc., etc., etc. Because like right now, and this is something like this is mostly like a gut feel thing, and like, again, you can tell me if you disagree, but like it feels to me like you're doing a lot of things that are good for Jigglypuff, but you're not using the conditioning factors of the good things. So this could be a Shulk matchup thing. Like, I don't know. I'm not like I play Shulk. I don't play Shulk Jigglypuff a whole lot. Most of the Jigglypuff players here don't play Jigglypuff against me. But what I'm noticing is, like, for example, like if you're, oh, I just closed your VOD. If you're focusing on like throwing out, for example, like coverage aerials, which you do a bit in the first stock especially, like what does that make him do? Right, so like if you're focusing on like coverage aerials, what does that make him do? And if he doesn't need to do anything about it, then you need to think, okay, so what is a way that I can like what are options that again force him to do something, right? So playing in a way that forces options, and then how do I beat the way he gets conditioned through those forcing options? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I guess it's just hard with Jigglypuff to force things, you know?
I mean, yes. But at the same time, I'm not asking you to force... Like, I'm not asking you to force things all the time. I'm asking you to, like, for example, when your opponent's in the corner, like, you can definitely, like, force... Like run up and nair him and just, like, control the airspace for a long time. Right? And, like, maybe Shulk naturally counters that by doing, like, a walling aerial. But then, like, he's doing walling aerials. And now you have your in. Because his walling aerials are super parryable, like you mentioned yourself, right? Or, like... Maybe you do like your nair, you control the airspace, and like he can shield it quite easily. Okay, now he's in shield, now he's static. Now you can, you know, like wait for him to leave shield, or try to grab him, or read the jump, or get a landing up air pressure to pressure him, or break it with a pound, right? So basically, like, don't force all the time, but find the good things for Jigglypuff, and then like build a bit more of a basically a web of traps around it, right? So we have our good option. They find their answer, but then we have the answer ready immediately. Okay?
Okay.
Alright, let's continue watching. Yep, we get the grab on landing, as we always do. Yep, he goes over, gets out of the corner. Shulk latch roll is broken. We all know. And then we get the back air. Okay. Okay, let's take a look. Again, you punish the landing back airs. Nice. Okay, he's just fishing. He goes to center again. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So one thing that I'm kind of struggling to understand, and this is not like critique, this is me trying to understand you better. Like if you're seeing so much success just beating out his landing aerials, right? So like right here, you just like nair out a shieldless down air, and I think like but then right here you get hit by the nair. So like what I'm wondering is like if catching landings is going so well for you, why are you getting tagged by the landing areas at the same time, right? So like why not commit to the game plan that's working? What are you trying to mix up?
So I'm trying to use dashes to try and like mix up my distances with like parrying and stuff. Because like if I'm just like in the same space, he'll be able to space around it, and I won't be able to punish even if I do get the parry. That's basically what I was trying to do. But then like I get caught in my initial dashes, and that's when I'm getting caught with these landing aerials.
Right, because like this is not an initial dash, right? This is you just like straight up dashing away from the nair.
Yeah.
But basically what I'm saying is like if you find something that works, just commit to it, right? Like I get that you gotta mix up your spacing to actually get something out of most of your parries. I don't know, what frame is your dash attack? It's
like frame 5, I think.
Okay. You should be able to get a dash attack out of most nairs and forward airs at least. Yeah, dash attack frame 5, that's really good versus like nair and forward air. And like back air, I understand you might not be able to punish back air at all times, but at the same time, like if he's going for like more of a back air spacing, like you're not losing anything either, right? Because like he's not like if he's going for back air spacing, right? Like if we like have FD here and we have like Jigglypuff right here, this is Kirby, but it's now Jigglypuff. Deal with it. She has the hair. It's Jigglypuff. Like let's say we have like forward air tipper spacing would be like right here, right? So we call this tip spacing A. We'll just for sake of simplicity, we'll just say this is like fair and nair spacing. But like if we look at like backer spacing, that would be like more out here, right? So there is a bit of a difference between the ideal spacing. And the scary thing about like forward air and nair spacing is that he can easily like empty land down tilt you or empty land grab you if he misspaces even, which you know is pretty intentional if he's gonna do empty land grab, of course. So like spacing A is very much a mix of spacing. But if you think about like Becker holding us, keeping us out, it's way more of a walling spacing because like what are his mix-ups? Like if he Beckers you, if he's spacing well enough to avoid your dash attack, he cannot even like empty land down tilt. He could maybe like empty land dash attack, but like the timing difference between Becker and empty land dash attack is so huge that it might not even count as a mix-up, right? Empty land dash grab with Shulk's movement speed, maybe in speed art, but like probably not really, right? So in that sense, what I'm kind of missing, and this kind of goes back to what we talked about before, is like find something that's strong, which in this situation is like, you know, beating this forward air nair spacing by using your parries and your relatively good dash attack to punish them. And then like if he does something that mixes that up, ask yourself, what does that mean for me? Because like it sucks when you cannot punish a backer on parry, but like what does he get out of it, right? Does it like does that force anything out of you? So think about which plays you have to make, right? So for example, parrying aerials, you have to make these plays, right? Because otherwise you're not gonna win neutral. But like parrying backer specifically, no big deal. Right? Because, like, for one, he's been misspacing them a lot, which, you know, you can attribute to your movement. But in general, it's also a frame, like, 19, and if you get the tipper, like, 22 aerial, which is very hard to space accurately constantly. But at the same time, like, you know, like, his other aerials are way scary because of the landing mix-up. So in that sense, playing around the mix-up that forces you to react, right? So these force you to do something, like that is the mix-up you have to play, so you play it. And that's because, you know, it's losing neutral, so you have to play around your opponents. If you were playing as like Mario, like you wouldn't even bother parrying aerials, of course. But understanding like, hey, these are things that I have to act on, and these are things that I don't need to act on, that is very important as well. Because like, say that he has a banana in hand, like if you could just like hold shield and wait until the banana is gone, that would be ideal. You don't have to make any other play than just holding shield until they start monkey flip grabbing you. And now you have to play the mix-up. But until that point, you don't have to play the mix-up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What are you thinking right now, Charlie?
I'm just thinking, man, Shulk is hard.
Yeah,
But I'm also thinking more about like my neutral, because I think, yeah, you're definitely right, where I'm just kind of committing to things, but like I don't really need to be committing to them because there is like no mix-up there. So I should just be maintaining my center stage, not really being too concerned about it.
Yeah, and like it's hard because you're down in at this point, at least in percentages, and before in stock. So like I get that you feel like you have to make a play, but here's kind of the flip side to that is that you only have to make a play if they force you to make a play. Right? So like you can say, hey, if I don't pressure Shulk, he's gonna get his arts back. But if he never gets anything out of his arts, who cares? You know what I mean? And at the same time, like if he constantly runs into you, you don't have to force anything out of him. So like what I'm basically saying, in other words, you're playing in a way that expects your opponents to mix up aggression and defense rather than abusing them for their weakest link. So I'll give you a comparison, right? Say you're playing RPS. You're in grand finals of the World Championships RPS. And you've done research on your opponents, and you know that 50% of the time, your opponent likes to pick rock. And 25 paper, 25 scissors. What option do you pick?
You pick the paper.
Of course, because, you know, percentually, you have the best chance of winning. It's the same against this guy, right? So, like, if you know that most of the time he's going to be approaching, you should just constantly counteract approaches until he starts throwing out his own. Like, say that his approaching is rock, you throw out paper until he uses scissors, which in other words punishing you for waiting. You just keep throwing out paper until he stops you from doing so. But you're expecting him to be good enough to use scissors, so he doesn't need to use scissors. Because you're already playing around it without him even showing it to you. And maybe he does it like once or twice. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not like he never mixes it up. I don't mean to imply that. I think Darkshad is a good Shulk player. Probably one of the best in the world at the moment. But at the same time, like, you're going to have to make him show you what he can do instead of just assuming that he does so because he's a good player. Make sense? All right. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're stalling for the smash art, I assume.
Yeah.
Her Jigglypuff, her air dodge is absolutely busted. Like
yeah.
This makes no sense. In the best way.
I abuse the hell out of it.
As you should. All right. Okay, we dash attack. We get the attack chase. Just wait it out. Good. He goes to speed. Okay, I get what you were going for. Okay. Good roll. Her roll is kind of good, isn't it? He gets pretty far. Yeah.
It's a good mix-up. People don't ever really expect it just because she has so many mix-ups from ledge.
Yeah, her ledge jump is really good. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Yep. Let's go. You got those. So again, like, did you like? Of course, your movement kind of messed him up in terms of spacing. But at the same time, like right here, he just spaced perfectly well, even though you moved. And then right here, you're staying stationary and he spaces like an idiot, and he dies. Right. So like in that sense, like again, like I totally get why you are moving, but if you look at it objectively, like he doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's gonna miss space even if you're static because he's a Shulk player and. We have like 2 brain cells, and they're both used to manage our Monado arts. So, right, that was good. Good awareness. Then we stall out the next smash, as it should be. Yeah, this art lasts way too long, by the way, but
Jigglypuff can deal with it, fortunately.
Fortunately, yeah. This matchup would have been even more of a tragedy if she couldn't. Do you live next to an airport?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I'm outside right now because like I had to like get out of my lab for an hour for this, and so now I'm just sitting outside.
Okay. No worries. I was just hearing noises. I was like, huh? Okay. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, good jump read. Mm-hmm. So this is like more of a Shulk matchup thing, like not big piece of critique. This back hit nair is reactable. this comes out on like frame 25, something like that. You always parry this. Like, there's no reason not to parry this. Okay.
Yeah, definitely missed a lot of parries this set.
Yeah.
It's actually what lost me this set in the end. I missed a parry on an F tilt and died.
I see. Okay, he goes high. Oh, you were so close. You definitely have the right idea. You just approached, faked out, and then you overcommitted on the landing punish. To be fair, you were a little bit off. Like, honestly, if you look at the interaction. But yeah. Okay, I like it. Forward air. Of course you get forward air. This Shulk. Okay. Okay, yep.
Crazy, Butter. Butter, you're from Kentucky, right? Yeah, you should know who this is. Like, this is a crazy character.
Mm-hmm. He corners himself so often, dude. Oh, it hurts to see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is also one thing. It's just like I don't know how to edge guard Shulk.
Yeah, it's. Ooh, there you go. Okay, so does Jigglypuff have a way to beat backslash to ledge?
I don't know, honestly.
Okay.
I guess the hitbox is pretty big in front of him, right?
Yeah, so like you can beat him from below, but sometimes you will have to do like a run off double jump up air, right? So like something like that. Rest is invincible. Maybe that beats it if you know how to time it. I wouldn't bet on it, but hey, if you can pull
It's
it off.
definitely not the side B to ledge I'm struggling with. It's mostly the up B that I keep on getting hit by.
Right, and I mean that's fair, but like covering side B to ledge is basically like step 1, if you get what I'm saying, right? Because like if Shulk can get away with side B to ledge, then they will, because you know, free recovery. For up B, basically there are a few variations. So the most important thing to kind of like understand is the air/1/2 mix-ups. So air/1 snaps the ledge, but the spacing is finicky, right? So if you have a decent way to kind of like punish ledge slaps, then ledge snaps, then you can definitely beat an air/1. So what a lot of Shulks do is they use air/2 to beat the counters. So say that you have like a down tilt to beat my air/1 to ledge, then I will start using air/2 to hit you for down tilting. However, air/2 loses to hitboxes vertically. So what you basically want to do is first you want to kind of like force him to use air/2 by contesting the end of air/1. And then when they start using air/2, you go over it and then you hit them from above. That's like the TLDR of beating.
Oh, I see. So I have like a drop nair.
Yeah, like a drop
like,
nair.
I was trying to do like a Mario gimp on him, where like with Mario, Puff will just like nair the startup of his up B, but I kept trying to like the startup of Shulk up B, and I wasn't getting it. But if I can just hit the top of it, yeah, that makes sense.
So another thing you can do is like ledge slip nair. So do you know what ledge slip is?
Yeah, it's like where you like hold down on the corner on the ledge and
exactly.
So no momentum.
The issue with Shulk's up B ledge snap is that if he wants to snap the ledge, then he won't be able to space it, because his ledge snap basically kind of like puts a hitbox just about here, and then he just grabs it with like the side of his face. That's just about where it ledge snaps. So in these spacings where he's going for a ledge snap, you can often like ledge slip nair and just trade with him, and that trade will basically always be advantageous, because now you know he's gonna be further out and then he has to do like a delayed air/2, because the air/2 gets a little bit more range than air/1, and then again you go in from above and you beat him. Very, very, very straightforward. So ledge slip nair, very good versus snap attempts. So the way to beat this is then like they can go wider, but then if they go wider, you can come in from above again, right? So that's basically the mix-up. It's like, do they air/1 to snap, or do they air/2 to keep you out? And if they do air/2, you come in from above, and if they snap, you contest it directly. Okay?
Yeah, that's helpful.
All right, cool. Honestly, I feel like you played a matchup pretty well. I would say like one thing that you could be doing more, like you were talking about parries already, I'm not gonna mention that, but like if he's in jump, just hold center, right? Because like if he's in jump, he can jump anywhere. You're not gonna be able to chase him. So like if you just hold center, like he can jump to the other side, he can jump on you, and then you just punish him. He can stay in the corner, but basically like holding center versus jump is the best you can do. If he's in shield, this is something that you could be doing. Try to not give up space. So you try to like stall out the shield one auto because you're like, hey, you know, if he hits me, I'm in disadvantage, and if I hit him, I don't get a lot out of him. But at the same time, if he's in shield, like he doesn't have a dash grab mix up. His reward on hits is a lot lower in general. Like he kind of struggles to get a good advantage state out of a hit in shield. He cannot really up out of shield because it's oftentimes unsafe on hit, and even if it is safe on hit, like he doesn't get an advantage out of it. So like in shield, his neutral is a lot worse. So like if he's in shield, like don't retreat, just like whatever space you had, just hold it and be like, okay, I'm gonna just hold this until shield art runs out, and then I'll go back to like doing whatever I wanted to do. Versus Shulk, like very much a stage control related matchup, because like Shulk has shitty startup, we both know this. He compensates for his startup by running away from you, so that you cannot hit him during it. But if he's running away, he enters the corner, and then he leaves the corner with jump or speed. But speed is relatively easy to counterplay, and I say relatively because, you know, it's still a good art. But like if he's in speed, like it's not like he suddenly has better startup, right? You can still intercept him. Like in fact, if versus speed, the main mix-up is to intercept or shield, and out of shield to stop the pressure. So basically, like say that we have like final and you're like standing right here. Again, you're Jigglypuff, this is Kirby, I give her the hair, now it's Jigglypuff. Say that Shulk is running at you with speed, right? Like he has slow startup, so if you out of nowhere just like run up and like dash attack him or like rising near him, whatever, like 99% of the time you're gonna catch him off guard, right? So if you start doing that, he can start whiff punishing you, which is bad. But then at least he's whiff punishing during speed art, which means the timer is ticking down. Another thing you can do is just like shield, and then if he hits you or shield, you just do something out of shield, and then if he continues mashing, then you usually beat at the startup. Again, startup bad. And if he stops, then, you know, maybe you can get an uppy out of shield, but it's like uppy in speed art, who cares? And then if he starts shielding after his pressure because you keep hitting him, then you can just like roll away to disengage or read it by grabbing, right? So like versus speed art, what you basically want to do is like either intercept him or just rely on shield, and like if he grabs you, whatever, you can, playing versus the grab mix up is totally fine, entirely advantageous to you. But if you know how to play that mix-up, then you're usually fine. The worst thing that can happen in speed if you play this way is that he takes away your center stage. So that's something that's important, is that like if you go to pressure him in the corner, he has speed, like don't commit to so hard that he can get back into center. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
And if he leaves the corner with jump, like nothing you can do about this. This is honestly like GG. So like hold center, and then he uses speed, his jump art, and then the next time he cannot jump out of the corner anymore. And that's why it's such a slow-paced matchup, because like you put him in the corner, he gets out for free once, you put him in the corner again, and then he doesn't get out for free, but good luck punishing him for trying to get out. But if you do, you get a large amount of reward, and if you don't, you shouldn't be in a lot of risk. And basically your goal in a lot of these situations is to make him grab. Because Shulk's grab sucks. I'm like 99% sure that Shulk doesn't even get like down throw forward tilt on Jigglypuff and Buster.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, so like, yeah, where are you? Jigglypuff. No combos out of Buster down throw at all. That means that, like, when you get grabbed, like, who cares? Like, actually, who cares? Like, you get put in disadvantage, which sucks. I totally get that. But like you said yourself, you have good ledge mix-ups, right? Which is where Shulk is strongest. You can stall out the smash art. You have so many options to kind of, like, mitigate those advantage states that I think, like, generally, you'll be fine. One thing that I do want to mention is, like, if Darkshad is a little bit more experienced in the matchup, he will probably wait for you to grab the ledge and then go into smash art, so that you at
So
least
he
have
does
to...
that later in this set.
Oh, okay, good. Like just keep that in mind. But generally, like you're way more comfortable just forcing him to grab again, like you said yourself, like grounded, shield heavy playstyle, force him to grab, and then punish him there. And if he doesn't grab, then just disengage and try again. And like really try to pull him out of his comfort zone, even if it pulls you out of your comfort zone as well, because you're gonna do better if you're both uncomfortable rather than if you're both trying to play comfortably. Because if you both play comfortably, then his comfort is gonna do better than your comfort. Does that make sense? I assume that's a yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I couldn't hear you, that's why I asked. Okay, let's
Yeah.
continue your reviewing.
Oh, okay.
Getting back started on PS2, getting the icon power up for Darkshad.
Okay.
Game plan has not changed. He just needs to execute it better. Yep. That's probably exactly what he's thinking.
Okay, nice. Just cover the air. Good. He's throwing out too many hitboxes in the corner. Okay. Yeah, you really need to be more consistent about holding center for sure. But you're doing well. Okay, nice. Pressure to whiff grab. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely did some bad out of shield options.
No, but this is mostly inexperience speaking, right? Like, he's in speed. He did a short hop forward air here on your shield. You thought it was gonna hit the front of your shield because it's a forward air and it hits the back. Like, honestly, he's inside of you. Like, I don't hate you for not understanding or not knowing which side he was gonna end up on, because I wasn't sure myself either. So don't worry about that. One thing I want to highlight though is like look at it, after he forward airs your shield in speed, he immediately shields himself, right? So something to kind of like point out here is like when he's in speed, like he's looking for some sort of pressure, but if you just like hold shield, eventually he's just gonna like hit your shield and then he shields himself and then all his pressure's gone. Like he has zero pressure on you in this situation. So like again, just focusing on not making a play if you don't need to, and you'll be fine. Okay. Forward air. Which games do you lose? Can I ask that?
I think it's 2, and I know I lost the last game too.
Right. Okay. So yeah.
I don't know anything else though.
Okay. Don't worry. I just want to look at some losing games because if you win, it's a little bit harder to tell you what you're doing wrong.
Yeah, I think I lost this game though.
Okay. Cool. I mean, you're doing well so far. I'm liking it. I think like one of the things that you want to think about is like, again, kind of like the RPS example is like, when do you need to mix up, right? So like if you think about like this rising Becker here versus Buster, this one here, it's like, again, do you need to make that play? Not really. And that's what will get you hit, and then trying to land to center, a little bit overextending. You don't need to do that. You can just go to the ledge, right? But you get the tech chase back air. Yep. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I like the chase attempt. I don't hate that.
Yeah, I think I definitely chase a little too much sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. I think in that situation it was fine. I think generally, what I'm seeing in your advantage state, and like this is just my impression so far. It's a little bit hard to say because it's very much like a single hit sort of matchup where you just kind of like chip away at each other until someone dies. But what I can kind of see in your advantage state is that in a lot of situations, you're trying to hit him instead of covering his reversal. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
playing to like one-dimensionally, I guess.
Well, think about it this way, right? So if you have like your advantage state, so he's in a juggle, you can chase him and hit him with a back air. Is this good risk reward? You tell me. Is this a good risk reward?
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell.
Just like generally, like of course it's gonna be dependent on if he has speed art, blah blah blah. But like generally, would chasing him and trying to land the back air, would that be a good idea?
No,
Why not?
I don't think it would be. Because he can just like do something else. I don't know. I mean, actually with Jigglypuff, I guess it isn't that risky if I space my back air. But I don't know. There's normally better options to approach with.
The reason why I think it's not good risk reward is because like basically like it turns advantage into a 50-50. Where if they contest you, you usually win, right? Because, you know, Jigglypuff can chase very well. But if they just dodge, you often lose. Because you're so floaty, right? Like they fast fall air dodge, you're not gonna be back on the ground in time to kind of like hit them. This is assuming it's like a chase, right? So if it's like a short out back air, it's a little bit different. But that is why like if you cover the reversal, you'll always be positive. In the sense that, like, say that, I'll just draw this up, right? So, example, we have, like, Pokemon Stadium. Darkshad is up here. He still has his double jump, and he has his air dodge. And you're standing right here. So, what a lot of players will do here is just, like, double jump back to the stage, land with an air, and skip this advantage, right? Because, you know, Jigglypuff, bad aerials, he's going to be able to basically steamroll through you. But at the same time, like if you go off stage here and you try to chase it with an aerial and he does like a double jump aerial, like he could interrupt you, or he does like a double jump air dodge, he could just like get through you, etc, etc. But if you simply just stand here and wait, if he jumps on you, you could like on reaction just like dash back in, dash attack is landing. He's back off stage. And what that basically means is like he cannot reversal you. Now he kind of has to go to the ledge. And if he's on the ledge, then we're still in a good situation because we're ledge trapping him. So in a lot of these times, like, of course, like, say he's at 50, you're at 180, the backer is the only way you're going to win, go for the backer, bro, like, take your shot. But in a lot of situations, you just, like, if you just cover the reversal, you basically have your minimum reward, which is, like, minimum reward is situational advantage. You will always have a situational advantage if you just cover the reversal. And I think that is kind of what is most lacking in your advantage state. It's like you sometimes you do like wait for a reversal and then he puts himself in a bad spot and then it's like, well, we don't get the punish, right? So like look at this. We get the hit. I assume this should have been a combo, but it's fine. He whiffs the up B, but you're not going to be in time to punish it. I mean, I think you think he fell on the platform instead of falling through. But this is exactly what it is. Like you chase with the side B instead of just covering the option that is like more consistent. Yeah. Because if you cover the ground here and he lands on the platform, then you still have pressure on the platform, right? So you go for the risky option. And that's just a lot of your decision making in your advantage is that you go just a little bit too hard covering the risky option, right? So look at this. Forward air nair. He's in a corner. What does he want to do when he's in a corner? He wants to get out of the corner. How is he going to get out of the corner? He's going to roll in, or is he going to full hop over you? So basically, he's going to try to get to center. So what is the priority number one in this situation? Is to make sure he does not get here. So we're going to wall off this part of the stage. But instead of going for a consistent situational advantage, you try to get more, so you jump in. Right? And like, again, not a bad option, but it is the riskier option. And it's going to get you huge reward if it works. But also, it's going to stop your entire advantage. Now you're in the corner if it fails. So he just reversals you. And this is like a lot of your decision-making in advantage. Is like you try to push it a little bit further. Where in situations where you could just like just wait for him to do something silly like roll in or jump over you. Because you know he's going to do it. Because he, like, you're looking at it from, again, this is kind of the same thing what we talked about before with like mix-ups, right? Where you're mixing up because you're assuming he's smart enough to use scissors. You're pressuring him. Because you assume he's smart enough to respect your follow-ups. Right? You're like, he knows I could follow up here, so he's going to be more defensive. But he never showed that. From his perspective, he's just like, me don't like corner. Me jump to center. Me don't like air. Me go to ground. Right? Like, it's very simple. Like, they're in a bad situation. When someone's in a bad situation, all they do is try to get out of it. It's kind of like, you know, if you put someone in a bad spot, it's kind of like fight or flight, right? Like, and most of the time it's like flight. So what I would recommend for your advantage is like cover the reversal a little bit more often, because right now the way you're approaching your advantage, I will tell this, it will probably work better against players that are at a little bit of a higher level than Darkshot, because they will be more cognizant of your pressure. So they're gonna be like, okay, Jigglypuff could like rest me for rolling in here, so I'm not gonna mess with it. I'll just shield. I'll just accept the pressure. It's just pressure. I don't care. But if your opponent shows that they don't care about your pressure, then you need to match that level of play a little bit more consistently. It's really very simple, right? Like, someone's in the corner, they're like, oh, I'm in the corner, I don't want to be there, I'm gonna roll away, and that's basically it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, back air. What?
Oof.
Did that shield poke you, or did you just press a button?
I think it was a shield poke.
It was a shield poke. What even got shield poked?
My little ear.
Your little ear. Oh no, your little ear. Your ear has a hitbox?
I don't think it does. But
Or
maybe I'm wrong.
Hurt
I don't
box,
know.
whatever. Wait, I gotta look it up now. I gotta look it up. Your ear has a hurt box. It does.
That's tough.
I'm so sad. This makes no sense. That makes no sense. Why does her ear have a hurt box? Oh, that's so sad. Honestly,
I gotta give her the peachy treatment.
no, please don't. We have about 12 minutes. Let's watch the final game and see if we can find anything else. Do you have any questions or things you would like to talk about given what we discussed so far, or are you cool with just going to the final game?
I guess I had like some questions about like counter picking, because that's something I've always kind of struggled with.
Cool.
Is like knowing when to counter pick. Because I have like a Pyra and Mithra that I've been kind of working on, kind of off and on. I've gotten like PR wins with her, but it's just like, you know, knowing when to use her.
Right. So what I do for secondary, so I'm a solo main first of all, so like my opinion might be a little bit less nuanced than someone who's used to counter picking, but I'll give you my take. So what I like to do for counter picks is I kind of have two rules. So rule one is the matchup rule, right? So basically I make a chart and I'm like, in these matchups I'll go Jigglypuff, in these matchups I'll go Pifra, and I generally stick to the matchup rule. My second part is the basically things I don't like rule. So this is like, if there's something that I don't like, then switching characters is oftentimes what I try to do. So things I don't like could be, for example, their playstyle, right? So say I'm playing Jigglypuff and they are playing super grounded, it's gonna be very hard for me to get something started, because, you know, like, if they're on the ground, they can anti-air me, blah blah blah. So like if I normally would go Jigglypuff, but their playstyle in particular is not really like, it's a little bit hard for me today, then I'll switch characters. Another thing could be the stage, right? The stage pick. So say like normally against Wolf I go Jigglypuff, but on Final Destination I'll go Pyra and Mithra. Right, so that's another thing that can be done. And then the final thing I don't like, and I mean, this could be anything for you, right? But these are the things that I don't like. The final thing I don't like is the day-to-day game feel. So some days I'll be feeling Jigglypuff, some days I'll be feeling Pifra. Like, that's just kind of part of playing multiple characters. I personally think, so this is my opinion, I think you should be playing your characters to a degree where you can pick all of them, if you want to make them tournament viable, right? So you can, you know, even if you're having an off day with Jigs, quote unquote, instead of going to Pifra, just like fix your Jigglypuff shit, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like if you just want to win, then sometimes powering through it is not the best option. So that's how I like to go about counter picking. Oh, there's actually a third one. This is more of a an exceptional, or how do I put that? It's something that doesn't happen often. Let me put it that way. If I know my opponent has no matchup experience. So normally I go Wolf against, or normally I go Pifra against Wolf. But if I know they don't know anything about Jigs, I might as well go Jigs just to see if they can handle an unknown character. And this is especially like nice for matchups that are like either or. So like say that against against Lucina, you like both Paramithra as well as Jigglypuff. Like just pick whatever you feel like maybe the stage decides which you pick, or maybe it's just like, hey, he doesn't know anything about Pifra, I'll just go Pifra.
I guess my main problem is
go
I
ahead.
feel like uncomfortable with going like Pyramithra a lot of the time, even if like it might be the better pick. Just like a lack of comfort and confidence, I guess, with counter picking. Like I guess I care a little too much about my results and if like I win or lose or not.
Yeah, I mean, I get I hear that a lot, so that's not super surprising. Don't worry. So what I think is, how do I put this? I think the most important thing to kind of keep in mind is that the only way to get confidence is to win with that character, and that doesn't have to be in tournaments. So say you have like your grind partner and like you've been doing a lot better against them with Pifra, like that would be a reason to be confident in Pifra as well. So you don't have to do it in tournament, right? So it doesn't have to be related to your performance. It can also just be a thing of like, hey, I've played this matchup with my secondary character so often that I'm feeling confident in it, or I've seen this so often, or I don't know what to do against this character with Jigglypuff, so let me just try Pifra because I think Pifra is easier for me to play. Like, it could be anything. But what is very important here is discover what gives you confidence. Right? So everyone has a different source of confidence. So a friend of mine gets confidence through practice. I get confidence through research. Another friend of mine gets confidence through tech skill, so they practice a lot of their movement and they make sure it's on point, right? So like everyone finds their confidence in a different place. You just got to find out like what is your source of confidence, what lets you get into a game and be like, hey, like I'm feeling confident that I can beat this. In other words, try to control that. The more control you have over it, the better it's going to be, of course. Okay? Do you feel like I've answered your question well enough, or do you still have like remaining?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it's like one thing is like my confidence is tied to mostly my practice, but right now I have like very little practice. I have no Wi-Fi, and pretty much all my practice is just brackets or like offline tournaments, and so it's like I can't really build up too much confidence if most of it comes from practice, and my practice is these small little tournament days. So I don't know really how to practice that, I guess.
Right. I mean, in that case, you could be thinking about some sort of source of confidence that you have more control over. So it doesn't have to be just one thing, right? And like practice doesn't have to be like practice against other people. Like you can play against the CPU and keep him on the ledge 10 out of 10 times. That could give you practice as well and confidence. It could also be like, hey, if I cannot get the practice in, then what else is there that gives me confidence? So in that sense, try not to limit yourself too much to your preconceived notions, and just like discover a little bit of like the various aspects of your confidence sources. Because like there is a possibility, so I'll be real with you, there is a possibility, Charlie, that like the only way you get confidence is by practicing. And if that is the case, then like that's just unfortunately the truth. There are always going to be parts of competition that we cannot influence. But if that's the case, then you should also consider like, is competing worth it for you now? Right? Because like if the only confidence you get out of practice, if the only confidence you get is out of practice, and you cannot get practice, so you cannot be confident, is it worth it for you to compete? Right? So like just try to be very real with yourself about the circumstances of your play, and try to do some like try to pick choices that are best for you as a person, and that don't just like focus on you as a competitor. Because it's very important. Like if you go to a tournament with zero confidence and you lose, then you're gonna start disliking the game, and then in the long run, there's no competitor left to take care of. So in that sense, just be aware of your mental health. Okay. One thing that I want to say about like counterpicking specifically, as kind of like a final thing, is like make rules and stick to it. Make rules and stick to them. Make it as concrete as possible, right? Because if you don't, then you're gonna have so much regret. Like you're gonna be like, oh, you know, like normally I played Jigglypuff here, but I'm not feeling Jigglypuff today, so I'll go Pyramithra. And then you lose with Pyramithra, and then you're like, I could have won that with Jigglypuff. Like you never want to be in that type of situation. So if you're like, if you're very clear about like why you do, you know, why you pick which character, then at least you're gonna be you're gonna feel less regret when you do inevitably lose with what you perceive to be the wrong character. Okay. All right. Charlie, any final questions, or are you okay with calling it here? Would you like me to review the final game for a little bit? We have like 3-4 more minutes.
No, I think everything that I wanted to cover got covered.
Cool. Yeah, let me just do a quick little wrap up. Honestly, I think your Jigglypuff is in a really good spot in terms of flexibility. I like that a lot. Like being able to play against Shulk and be like, hey, like I literally cannot be in the air because his hitboxes are too big. Let me play a more grounded game style. Like honestly, kudos for that. I think a Jigglypuff that can play grounded is a rarity. So in that sense, it shows your mastery over your character. I think that is very impressive. I think overall your plan is pretty solid. I think you could be more thorough in how, like we kind of mentioned, in how your strengths kind of complement each other, especially in the advantage state. But overall, like solid plan. I think the most important thing going forward is to really start thinking about like when you have to make a play and when you don't have to make a play. Because in a lot of these situations that you get hit, it's mostly because you're doing something that you didn't really have to, right? So like, if you, I'm gonna say it right now, Charlie. Like, if you boil the game down, like there's almost nothing that you have to do. Like you're probably gonna just be standing there, just like, okay, well I'm just gonna stand here until you fuck up, and like that's true. Like that's kind of consistency at that level. If you look at like Tweak versus MK Leo, in the set that Leo won, I think it was Riptide. Was that? I don't know. Anyway, in that set, a lot of what happened was like Leo would whiff a nair, Tweak would run up, Tweak would shield, Leo would shield, they look at each other's shield, they both disengage. And the reason for that is that like Tweak doesn't want to lose his banana, Leo doesn't want to contest the banana Diddy, so they both don't do anything. Because they're both like, I don't need to make this play. Like Leo's like, I can reset out of this and then try to get him to use his banana again. And Tweak is like, I can reset out of this and then I got control of my banana again. So they're both just kind of like waiting for the other one to make a play that they don't have to. And in the background is kind of like the layer of reads, right? So like, say that you run up and shield 5 times in a row. At a certain point, like Tweak is just gonna read it, right? So he's gonna run up and monkey flip, and then the game starts. So in that sense, like, be okay with like doing less, gathering information first, and then acting on that through the soft reads. And that's where you can really like add that little bit of flavor that we talked about, where it's like, okay, I want to abuse my strengths through the power of these reads instead of just through the power of coverage. Because if you're relying on coverage as Jigglypuff, you're gonna lose to every sword character. You're gonna have to make the reads. So I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna send you the notes for today. They're yours to do with what you please. Thank you so much for supporting me today. I appreciate it a lot. The VOD, Charlie, is going to be on Twitch. You can use the program called Twitch Leecher to download it if you would like. It's going to be up for like 2 weeks, so you have some time. I sent you the name of the application. You can just Google it. It's going to be like the first link. There's like an exe. Download it. You enter the URL. It downloads the VOD. Very straightforward. If you have any follow-up questions based on our session today, feel free to send me a DM. I'll do my best to help you out. I'm always willing to discuss the things we talked about today. If you have some new questions, some things we didn't discuss today, I do recommend booking another session, but at the end of the day, that's up to you. Finally, I've given you the student role in my Discord that grants you access to the student channel. If you have questions for me, like I said, you can just message me. You can also throw them in the student Discord. I hang out in there a lot. I basically answer all the questions in there. Maybe some of your peers, some of the other students, could help you out as well. But I can already tell you there's not going to be a lot of Jigglypuff players in there. So if the Jigglypuff questions come up, you can just DM me. I know enough about the character. A friend of mine plays a very mean Jigglypuff. So yeah, I hope that was informative and useful to you.
Yeah, thank you. This is my first time doing coaching, so I didn't really know what to expect, but I felt like I gained a lot from this, so thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, just let me know how it works out. Again, if you have follow questions, you're always welcome. And if you have victory stories after the session today, also feel free to tell me, because I love hearing about my students doing well. All right.
I got a local today, so if I beat my bracket demon, I'll make sure to tell you.
Okay, you better win. And if you don't win, just don't let me know anything. Just keep me ignorant. That is the bliss I'll be living in.
All right.
All right. Hey, good luck today. Thank you so much for your support again, and I'll talk to you later.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.